So if you're looking for some good alternate picking exercises, you've come to the right place. I've been using this myself for the last couple of weeks, and I can actually feel a difference, even though I haven't really spent that much time on it each day. But it sort of comes down to doing it over a period of time, and a little bit each day for a certain exercise will give you more results than if you just sit there for hours one day and then totally burn out on it. So don't do that to yourself. It's better to have a collection of exercises and you do a few of them each day, and obviously the more you practice, the faster you're going to progress, but I wouldn't sit with just one exercise for hours on end. So with that said, the exercise goes like this. We have 2 different sequences, and they both use all 4 fingers. So it's quite a good exercise that works as a warm-up as well. So if we start on the 5th fret, and then I'm going to show you how you can apply it across the entire neck in a few different ways. So we have this. So basically, this is a variation on that chromatic, that type of exercise. But if we number the fingers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to go like this. 1, 4, 3, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our first variation. Then we have the second variation. That's going to be pretty much the opposite. We're going to go 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. So just alternate picking, starting with a downstroke and starting with an upstroke as well if you want to get the most benefit out of it. But how do you practice this then? Well, it's kind of boring to just sit like this. So we're going to move it in a few different ways. First way is to start on a single string. This will work on your position shifting as well. So we start down here on the 1st fret, start with the first sequence, shift up with the same finger and do the second sequence. And then we shift up again to the 3rd fret, and now we sort of reset everything and do everything again. So and you do that all the way up. And then when I descend, I start with an upstroke, so I get that in there. So I start at the 24th fret. Even though it's tiny here, it's worth doing. So I start with the second sequence, so the one starting with the pinky. And so on until I get down here, and then I do the same thing on the B string. And so on, and starting with a downstroke when I go up, and then upstroke when I go down. So you get both ways of doing it. Very important, because otherwise you're not going to get as much out of it. You do that on all strings, and it doesn't take that long to do that. After that, you can apply this to all 6 strings, and the most basic way of doing it, I'm going to show it here on the 5th fret, but you want to start down here on the 1st fret. Just do the ascending or the first sequence from low to high, so you go like this. So you change strings instead of moving up to the next position. And now you move up with your pinky and then go down with the second sequence. And so on, all the way up. Start with a upstroke and go all the way down again. Another variation you can do is to move this way. We start down here, and for each rep, I'm gonna move up a string and a fret. So like this. 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th, 5th, 6th, and that's pretty much as long, as far as you can go. And then you can simply restart it down here if you want and go. and then shift to the second variation going down here, and then work your way back. So don't worry that it doesn't sort of complete itself here. You just do as far as you can, and then you start over here and go back as far as you can. So the whole point is just moving up a string and a fret at the same time. So it's kind of a combination of the first one on a single string and the second one where you just go up from string to string. So just try it out, and I think you'll find that it's fairly easy once you get into it. The third variation, and I really like this one, is where you actually, instead of doing this pseudo chromatic thing, and what I mean by that is that it's not really chromatic here, because you have half steps and then a whole step here, because you're just keeping a particular position going. But if you take an actual chromatic scale, so if you start on A here, then you can apply the sequence in that way. So you would go and that one you can start on each fret and do as well, and so on. So you have a few different ideas here. You can do all of them every day, or you can simply decide to maybe do the single string one first, and then maybe you do the sort of start of the first variation where you cross strings. I think those are probably the most important ones, but I particularly like the chromatic one as well. But if you do that one, make sure you go as far as you can, and then you restart with an upstroke. So this whole starting on an upstroke is super important. And the reason for that is that you want to make sure that you can play anything starting with a downstroke and an upstroke. Doesn't matter if you feel a bit less competent with the upstroke, for example, but it should at least be enough so you can get through something and not feel totally off. And if you've only started things with a downstroke and you try this upstroke business, you might feel like, oh shit, this is super difficult, I don't want to do this. But believe me, if you spend the time doing things that are uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable in the sense that they hurt or anything, but that you kind of have to slow down and you can feel a big difference in your ability, that's probably the best use of your time when it comes to the technique stuff, because basically you want to get rid of all the stuff that doesn't feel that great within the realms of things that you want to play. So I can't give you a better advice than that. So if you feel really comfortable with stuff like that, maybe work less on that and then work more on things that you're not as comfortable with. Whether that is, starting a familiar phrase with an upstroke or whatever it might be. So that's the absolute quickest way to improvement. Even though that can be a bit hard on your ego at first, but put your big boy or big girl pants on, and I think you can push through and, realize that, yes, I kind of suck at this now, but if I keep at it, I will be a much better player for it. Back in the day, I used to have real issues with fast alternate picking when it came to 2 notes per string. I was fine with 3 notes per string, but the 2 note per string thing was a bit harder to crack. So if you struggle with fast alternate picking as well, and you don't know what to practice or for how long, I've created the perfect solution for you in the form of the Pentatonic Picking Power Book. So in this book, you'll find a daily workout that will not only help your pentatonic picking, but will also upgrade your overall alternate picking technique. So it contains basically the same exercises I used myself to develop my picking abilities, as well as numerous students over the years that I've given the same exercise to with great results. So I know these exercises work as long as you put in the work. So it's not a quick solution or quick fix. It will still take a lot of work, but at least you have a very easy to follow routine. So if you're up for a big alternate picking upgrade in 2024, I cannot think of a better start. It's $9 and I think it's very underpriced, but I did it that way just so as many people as possible could be helped by this. So check that out.